about my toxic best friend group. So a little background information. I was 16, and it was the end of 9th grade going into summer break. And one day randomly these 3 girls added me on Snapchat and put me into a group chat. Now, I had seen them around school, but I never said hi to them. I was finding it very hard to make friends in 9th grade because everybody was so toxic. Anyways, like I said, they added me to a group chat, and all of them said hi to me. And usually I wouldn't respond to random people on Snapchat, but because I had seen them around school, I decided why not. And it was so random, they just started sending pictures of themselves into this group chat. And it low-key made me feel bad because I kind of hated my physical appearance. But anyways, they asked me if I wanted to be friends with them. Oh, and by the way, their names were Stacy, Savannah, and Emily. So of course I said yeah because it was hard for me to make friends. So fast forward, my birthday was coming up. So they asked me if we could hang out. They said they wanted to give me an early birthday present. So I said yes, of course. Like for part 2. Part 2 about my toxic friend group. So like I said, they asked me if we could hang out to give me an early birthday present. So I said yeah. And Emily had a pool at her house, so they asked me if I wanted to go over there. And of course I said yeah, it was summertime and it was hot outside. Well, when I got there, they asked me to order the pizza and they said that I had to pay for it. So I said yeah, because they were my besties at the time. So I used some of my birthday money to pay for the pizza for all of us. And when I got back to Emily's house, they were all already in the pool. So I was kind of mad. 1, because they didn't go with me, and 2, they were just hanging out without me. So we're sitting there eating the pizza. And then after, all 3 of them get in the pool and they start taking pictures with each other, not even asking me to be in any pictures. So at that point, I was so annoyed. I was just like, you guys are being so rude. And Emily's like, what are you talking about? We didn't even do anything. And then, of course, Stacy and Savannah agreed. So I was like, 1, you didn't even ask me to be in any pictures and you made me pay for the pizza for all of us. And she was like, you're ugly. We didn't want you in the pictures. So I threw the pizza away and went home.
First time on how I found out my dad had a whole nother family through social media. I'm talking wife and kids. Okay, so my mom and dad met when I was 3, but I could always recall him always being there in my life. So technically, he's my stepdad. They got married, and then 2 years later, my sister was born. In another 3 years, my twin brothers, Trey and Tyrese. On my 17th birthday is when everything came out. Around that time, my mom was 4 months pregnant, and I had posted a picture on MySpace of me and my family at my birthday dinner. Also, I forgot to mention, I wasn't even allowed to have social media. I didn't even have a phone, but I had a computer, but my parents didn't know I had a MySpace account. I think maybe a week after the post, I get a comment from a random person under the name of Sunshine. They say, hey, that's my dad. Are you his cousin or niece? We should talk. The profile pic was a picture of flowers. When I saw the comment, I was a little weirded out, but come back for part 2 if you really want to know what I did afterwards. Part 2 on how I found out my dad had a whole nother family through social media. So I posted my birthday picture. A week later, I get a comment saying, hey, that's my dad. Are you his cousin or niece? We should talk. Me being the investigator that I am, I went through the page, but they really had no pictures, nothing, just pictures of flowers. So I started thinking maybe they probably meant to put that underneath somebody else's post. 2 months go by and I make another post for Mother's Day. It's a pic of me and my mom and my dad in the corner photobombing. Within 5 minutes of the post, I get another comment from that Sunshine account saying, I think we might be cousins. I was a bit suspicious about the account, so I went to my friends about it. When I showed my friend Deja, she said, ignore it because if you show your parents, they'll probably take your computer away because you have a MySpace account. My other friend Alice said maybe y'all could be related, so you should reach out to the page. Later that night, I was feeling very anxious, so I messaged that account, and you're not even going to believe what they told me. Come back for part 3. Part 3 on how I found out my dad had a whole nother family through social media. So I messaged that fake Sunshine account and asked why did they keep making those comments underneath my post. They messaged back 2 hours later saying you were posting pictures of my dad. I responded back, no, that's my dad. Then they sent me a picture of a girl with my dad. I was like, who's that other girl? They responded, me. I was like, no, you're a fake page. And she responded with another picture, but with my dad and a whole nother woman and 3 kids, including the girl. When I saw that, I shut my computer down, and later that day, I went to my friends to show them. They were so surprised, and I asked them what I should do. Deja was like, don't do anything. If you do, your family is going to fall apart. Alice butts in and just tells Deja to shut up. She was like, yo, you got another sister. Don't you want to know who she is? I replied, no. Alice was like, you should tell your mom. Deja was saying no. And they was just arguing back and forth whether or not if I should say anything.
Story time about why I will never ever ride in an Uber ever again. So a little background information. I was 16 and in 11th grade. So my parents decided to go away for the weekend. They wanted to go and visit some family who lived like 2 hours away. So I decided that it was a good idea to invite my friends and my boyfriend and his friends over for a sleepover. And once we were all at my house, we realized that we were pretty bored, so we decided to go to the fair. So we decided to go to the fair around 9:15. But because we were all lazy AF, we decided to just get an Uber to the fair instead of driving. The Uber there was fine. We went, we had a super great time, and then it was time to go home. It said our Uber was going to come at 10:30, but instead it came at 10:45, which I didn't think was a big deal because Ubers are late sometimes. So we all got into the Uber, and mind you, my house was literally 15 minutes away. So I ended up taking a nap because I was really tired, and then I woke up, like for part 2. Part 2 about why I will never ever ride in an Uber ever again. So like I said, my house was only 15 minutes away, so since I was really tired from the fair, I decided to take a nap. Well, I woke up 20 minutes later, and we were in the middle of nowhere. Like, when I tell you, we were on a road that literally just kept on going. I asked my boyfriend where we were, and he said that we had been on this road for a while. So at this point, we're all texting each other, and all of our friends are saying, no, we're fine, this is the way. So then I look up my address on Google Maps, and we are 45 minutes away from my house. So then I send it in the group chat, and now everybody starts to freak out. Not to mention, our Uber driver was on the phone the whole time, but he had his AirPods in, and we couldn't understand anything that he was saying. So that's when my friend Sophie, she was in the front seat, she shoved the directions in his face, and was like, I think you're going the wrong way. So then he busts a U-turn, and he's yelling at this point on the phone. And an hour later, we make it back to my house. I have a feeling if it wasn't for my friend Sophie, we wouldn't have made it out of there.
This is going to be a story time of my experience with vaping. When I was around 15 years old, I got introduced to vaping, and at the time I didn't understand the harm vaping nicotine could cause. I got influenced to start doing it by everyone around me who was doing it, including my friends, people at school, and my family. As time went on and I kept vaping almost every single day for over a year, I started to realize how addicting vaping nicotine actually was, and that's when things started going downhill. Vaping started negatively affecting my health, especially my mental health. I began to rely on it to make me happy, and when I didn't have it, I would feel agitated and irritable and get really bad mood swings up until I was able to get access to it again. The only way that I was able to cope with these mood swings was to get more nicotine. And if I didn't have it and had no way to get access to it, those feelings would get the best of me and I wouldn't feel like doing anything. I became extremely dependent on it. I would get anxiety attacks if I didn't have it, but even when I was using it, it also gave me anxiety, so it was a lose-lose situation. When I would use it, it made me feel so sick and so dizzy, which led me to be unproductive. It became hard for me to prioritize school, my social life, my hobbies, and my chores. I just started putting vaping before everything. I became stressed and super depressed because it was hard to juggle all those things that I needed to do. At the time, I would rather vape than do actual work, so it became hard to separate my wants and needs. So it came time for me to question why I was letting such a little object control my life and affect me so negatively. I decided that I needed to get a grip on my life and that I needed to quit completely no matter how hard it was. After I quit, my mind became clear again. I became less anxious and less stressed, which made it easier to prioritize all of the important things that I needed to do. It felt so much better not relying on one little thing to make me happy and being able to get joy from the things around me, like my friends and my hobbies. Slowly, I was able to get my life back in order by reconnecting with all of the things that made me happy before I started vaping. And having my life back in order made me feel less depressed overall. I can definitely say that not getting anxiety attacks all of the time, not feeling stressed and super depressed all of the time is a wonderful feeling. My life has improved for the better ever since I stopped vaping.